They come with fear and they come with hope. More than 4,000 asylum seekers have entered Canada this year through the United States. Back in the winter, we brought you lots of those stories from Manitoba. But over the course of the year, the momentum in migration has shifted to Quebec. There are now so many asylum seekers crossing the border from New York State each day. Montreal has opened up Olympic Stadium just to put a roof over their heads. We'll get there in just a moment. But first, David Cochran takes us to the border crossing where officials are struggling to keep up.
Monsieur, anglais, français, English or French? You cannot cross.
Just minutes after we reach the border, the first asylum seeker arrives. 10 minutes later, another taxi, this time carrying a family. Over the next hour, 3 more taxis, a minivan, and a shuttle bus.
So you guys are under arrest for having crossing the border illegally. Do you understand?
The RCMP shout warnings, the migrants ignore them.
For those who speak English, do you understand that you've crossed the border illegally? Yes? Okay.
The whole point of this is to get arrested. To get into Canada's immigration system and out of the American one. They come from everywhere. Some of them quite young. Some of them traveling under great difficulty. But this latest surge is driven by Haitians who have been told by the U.S. government they could be deported within 6 months.
Just stay here.
What was a trickle is now a torrent of asylum seekers. The police here tell us it's been like this for weeks, an endless stream of taxis, buses, and vans just dumping people at the border so they can be arrested and get into Canada. They stay here until there's enough people to fill up this bus, and then they're taken away to detention, and this starts all over again. Until a few weeks ago, this border crossing averaged just 30 people a day. The police tell us that on this day, nearly 300 people crossed, and they only expect that to grow. What was a lonely dirt road is now a 24/7 processing center, complete with crowd control barriers and portable toilets. It continues through the night. Each person is questioned, processed, and searched. Their luggage thrown into a truck. They're eventually taken away on the bus that is running on a load-and-go basis.
Why don't you just quickly take off your jacket for me?
An asylum assembly line. The endless cycle of arrivals, arrests, inspections, and relocations. From the border, they end up here, a makeshift RCMP detachment. Their numbers so large, many of them have to spend the night outside with only a tent canopy for shelter. Eventually, they'll be taken across the road to an immigration detention center that officials privately tell us is also bursting at the seams. Quietly, law enforcement and border officials say their facilities are being overwhelmed. Not enough space, not enough food, not enough beds. And already that shuttle bus is heading back to the border, where another round of drop-offs is happening. It's another wave, and the next one won't be far behind. David Cochran, CBC News, Saint-Bernard-de-la-Côte, Quebec.
I'm Allison Northcott in Montreal, where the influx of asylum seekers is pushing resources here to the limit as well. Montreal's Olympic Stadium is an iconic landmark, and today it also became a temporary shelter. A busload of asylum seekers arrived this morning, people lugging bags, adults and children. This man says he's originally from Haiti, but had been living in the U.S. until he walked across the border into Quebec last week. It feels good to be here in Canada, he says. The stadium is where he'll stay for now. Inside, 150 beds are laid out along with blankets and food, a temporary solution to deal with overwhelming demand. Canada Border Services says this recent wave of asylum seekers include people originally from Sudan, Turkey, and Eritrea, but most are from Haiti. Since 2010, following the earthquake there, tens of thousands of Haitians have been allowed to stay in the U.S. under what's called temporary protective status. But the U.S. has signaled it may end that program in January.
They are afraid of what is going on in the United States, and they know that the administration is not very sympathetic to their cause. So they say they are, trying to seek somewhere else to live.
I'm seeking a life.
The political climate in the U.S. is what prompted Marie-Claude Celestin to come here.
I found that Canada was the best option for me and my family. You guys understand humanitarian. Unlike in the United States, you treat people as human beings.
Osnal Claribus left the U.S. afraid he'd be deported back to Haiti. He crossed the border illegally into Canada last month.
Nous avons besoin de refuge.
We need refuge, he says. Imagine our country is in a chaotic situation. Back at the stadium, Jean-Philippe Guillaume came to welcome the newcomers.
I don't know nobody inside, but they're my family. I'm Haitian. We all Haitian, so we have to support each other.
Quebec's immigration minister says despite the sudden influx, the province can handle it. And she's asked the federal government to speed up processing of this latest wave of asylum seekers so they can move out of shelters and into permanent housing. Alison Northcott, CBC News, Montreal.